Yeah, I want to get to this game. In what I'm calling a Super Bowl-esque game. You know, I, it would be interesting. What if the NFL playoffs didn't have conferences? Is there a possibility we could have gotten Ravens Bills, not in the divisional round, but in New Orleans on February 9th for Super Bowl 59?
I
How
believe so.
how cool would that have been if this game was happening in the Super Bowl?
You know,
Holy crap.
yeah, if the Lions weren't in it and that was an option for the Super Bowl, I'd say sign me up, make me some popcorn, some dip, some chips, give me all the Super Bowl goodies and let's watch some football. Josh, this is, as your partner Brandon likes to say, this is the game, the moment, the play. That's what this is.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm not trying to disrespect the Lions in any way. This just feels like a Super Bowl level game. And like, if there weren't conferences involved for the playoffs, this is the matchup I would want for the Super Bowl. That's just me personally. Because think about it, you got the storyline basically all season. Well, not all season, because you've had like Saquon in the mix and you've had others, but it's basically been Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. You know, the Ravens completely dismantled the Bills back in, I think it was week 3 on Sunday Night Football in Baltimore. But the Bills look like a completely different team now. This game is in Buffalo. And as we said, if Baltimore does not have Zay Flowers, I think that completely changes the complexion of this game.
Get this too. It's supposed to snow in Buffalo. That crowd, a playoff Buffalo crowd. Oh my, Lamar! I don't know if you're ready for that, my guy. I truly don't know. Your Mahomes, your Brady's, yeah, that was them all day. Lamar, if you want to be in that conversation, you got to go into Buffalo and you got to take what's yours and you got to win the game.
Yes. Which, if it's supposed to snow, I don't know if it's going to be as high scoring as we think it's going to expect it to be, because these are two high flying offenses. But if it's projected to snow, it might be lower scoring and we might see a lot of Derrick Henry and James Cook.
I'm okay with that. Sign me up for that too.
Yeah. Baltimore, this is exactly why you got Derrick Henry for this type of game. Yeah, like, because you know Buffalo is not going to, or they're going to try and not let Lamar beat them. So just go, 22 is in the backfield. Here you go. 22 is in the backfield again. Here you go. Simple as that.
Let King Henry be King Henry.
Exactly. Like, you got, if Mahomes wasn't in the picture, I would kind of say this is Brady. This is the modern day Brady Manning. Honestly, I know neither one of them have the championships, but just in terms of like how much discussion there is around the two of them, it feels like a Brady Manning type of matchup, if you know what I mean.
That big fight. It's a big fight feel, right? Like,
yes. And it feels like the two fan bases are starting to clash a little bit. It really does.
This could start a new rivalry.
Yes.
This is like your to put it into terms, this is like when we found out Pacquiao was gonna fight Mayweather. That fight was horrible. But when we heard that, the world went nuts.
Yeah.
That's what this is. These are two of the biggest in the game, besides Mahomes, obviously, but the two biggest in the game, the biggest draws in the game. Don't matter if you're from Baltimore. Don't matter if you're from Buffalo. I'm sure the fan base will be split. It's going to be a home game for Buffalo, obviously, because it's in their town and they're going to jump through tables and throw snowballs. But I guarantee Ravens will flock to Buffalo, and it's going to be a fight. It's going to be a dog fight.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And I mean, if Lamar does not have Zay Flowers, I hate to keep bringing this up, but you got to go to Rashad Bateman. You got to use Isaiah Likely, Mark Andrews, because Josh Allen is going to spread the ball around to guys like Amari Cooper, Ty Johnson, who made a huge play against the Broncos last week, James Cook, Dalton Kincaid. I'm trying to remember their other tight end that they've used a lot throughout the season.
Isn't it Knox?
Dawson Knox, yes.
Baltimore, if you don't make this a game, listen up, Baltimore fans. You guys are the biggest frauds. I'm not saying that lightly. If this isn't at least a 14 point, if you lose by 7 or 3, fine. But if you're getting stomped out by 14 in the third, 21 in the fourth, like, you guys are frauds.
So let me ask you this then. If that happens and you're saying the Ravens are frauds, would you then put John Harbaugh in the same type of discussion as Mike Tomlin, based on what you were saying about Tomlin earlier?
It depends, because I've watched Mike Tomlin crap himself for over almost a decade now. Now, yes, Harbaugh has crapped himself, but it hasn't been that long of a stint. So the only reason I say that about Tomlin is because from the time I was able to understand football to me almost being 20 years old, Mike Tomlin has crapped himself. I haven't watched John Harbaugh crap himself yet. I mean, I have seen it, but it hasn't been that long of a stretch, 8-9 year stretch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. He did crap himself last year against Kansas City in the AFC Championship. I'm not sure why they threw the ball so much when, running the ball was what got them there. Or
You know what though? To put you back to Tomlin, at least the Ravens were in the championship game.
That's true.
So there you go.
There you go. But like we were saying, you got a 2-time MVP, and maybe he wins the MVP this season. There's a lot of momentum that he could. But Josh Allen seems to have been one of the favorites all season. I'd lean a little more in Josh Allen's direction. That's because he's done more with less, I would say. That's why I liked Drew Brees so much when he was playing for New Orleans, is because, he did so much with not a lot around him.
Yeah. That's why I will always say Brees has been my favorite quarterback to watch.
Yes.
He was never the best guy in the league, but he was still great.
Yes.
Obviously, you got Brady, Manning in that, and who else could you put up there? And probably Brees, but you never heard people say, oh, you know who's great? Drew Brees. He was kind of just thrown on the back burner for the big guys, right?
Yeah.
And
Brees beat Manning in Super Bowl 44 with the Saints.
Yeah, he did. He's got one of my favorite arms, I would say. One of the most beautiful spirals to watch is Manning and Brees, in my opinion.
Actually, just to go back to the Broncos for a minute, that combination between Sean Payton and Bo Nix kind of reminds me of when Sean Payton first got to New Orleans and paired up with Drew Brees. I'm seeing a new version of that.
I like it. Oh, I like that. And I like it. And I like Bo Nix a lot, actually. A lot of people didn't want to give him credit for what he was doing because of a lot of early turnovers in the early weeks and not reading the defense well. But let me tell you, if Bo Nix can just tweak his game, he doesn't have to completely fix it. Just tweak it a little bit. Give it a little tweak. Oh, boy. You better watch out.
But, again, we mentioned this earlier. The Bills, I think that final score is deceiving. They didn't blow out the Broncos. Like, Denver was right there. They just couldn't capitalize oftentimes on their drives. It was, turnover on downs or punts. Like, Buffalo essentially needed that 70, I think it was like a 70-plus yard pass play for Ty Johnson. And they got a lot of short fields. And they capitalized. Like, Baltimore's not going to give you that type of thing. If they have the ball, generally, Lamar and Derrick Henry are going to capitalize when they have the opportunity to strike. So, I would say Buffalo got a little bit lucky against Denver. Not so much that they were flat out the better team. Because
I wouldn't say that was luck. I just think that's a young Denver team who just shot themselves in the foot over and over.
And that's what I mean by when I say Buffalo got a little bit lucky in that sense that Denver kept shooting themselves in the foot, which, but credit to the Bills, they took advantage. But that's what I mean when I say the Bills got a little bit lucky.
That's not going to fly against Baltimore, Kansas City, Detroit, any of the teams left. That's not going to fly against the Rams.
It would fly, I think, against Houston. I think.
Okay, again, that's the redheaded stepchild right now. We keep forgetting about them.
Yes. But yeah, it would not fly even against Washington. I don't think that would fly.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Like I said, Jaden Daniels looks like he's already in year 5. So absolutely not. You give that man a short field, he's fine in 6, okay?
Yeah. Probably courtesy of Terry McLaurin, if I had to guess.
Yep.
Yeah. But talking about this game, like I don't know if this game's going to come down to more so to the running ability of Lamar and Josh Allen, because we know how much they can hurt you with their legs, or is it going to come down to their arms? Like, that's the tricky part with this game. Is it the running ability more of these two quarterbacks, or is it on the arms? I don't know.
It's going to come down to this, Josh. Time possessed. Right? Hear me out. Before you say, what the hell are you talking about? Whoever gets that first possession should have a slow, methodical drive down the field. Because both these teams like to strike quick, like to strike fast. And I'll tell you what, if I'm Josh Allen, I don't want to go back and forth with Lamar Jackson. If I'm Lamar Jackson, I don't want to go back and forth with Josh Allen. So whoever possesses the ball first should make sure it's a slow drive. Maybe a 5-7 minute drive, 8-minute drive. Just slow it down a little bit. It's going to come down to who possesses the ball last and who's more patient with it. It's going to be a game of patience.
Yeah. And the divisional round has not been too kind to Buffalo recently. We all remember the 13-second game. They lost to Cincinnati at home in the divisional round. Yeah, the divisional round has not been too kind to Buffalo recently.
No, definitely has not been, no.
I want to say the last time they won a divisional round game was against Baltimore, I think.
Hold on. Let me think here.
Don't quote me on that, but I think that's correct.
I think you're right. And then they won the divisional round, and then who did they lose to though?
I think it was Kansas City.
Was it? Yeah. Was it the first? Because it was the first time Mahomes and Allen met in the playoffs, right?
So, according to this champs or chumps.us website, they lost in the divisional round in 2023, lost in the divisional round in 2022, lost in the divisional round in 2021. 2020, they lost in the AFC Championship.
Okay, so they are not doing so hot when it comes to divisional games.
And in 2019, they lost in the wild card round.
I remember that. Yeah, that was
against, well, number 4. Yeah, I'm not even going to say his name.
Yeah. I remember that game. I won $30 off that game actually, but because I bet on number 4. Never doing that. Never doing that again.
I wouldn't suggest doing that again.
No. Unless it's about rupturing his other Achilles, which, odds on that are pretty high. So,
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Let's not get off topic and go into that stuff. But, yeah, Buffalo needs a change in fortune. Because if they lose again,
there's a lot of questions to be answered.
Yeah. And like I said, had they lost to Denver, as long as Josh Allen and Sean McDermott are their quarterback and head coach, I would have said, you're no longer Super Bowl contenders. Nope. And I feel like you could almost say that if they lose to Baltimore.
Almost. Not quite, but almost.
Yeah. What do you think the narrative is if Baltimore loses this game?
Well, let me just make this clear by saying if they lose this game, they clearly didn't run the ball.
Yeah.
And they trusted Lamar too much. And to me, he's back-to-back MVP. And if he can't get the job done, is he really an MVP?
Yeah.
So that's a big question. And then Hardball's another question. Henry, obviously, he's been doing this for years. How much longer could he do this to his body? Just run through living, breathing human beings,
and make them look silly.
Make them look like the Billy Madison scene when he's playing dodgeball. That's yes. That's what Henry is. That's what it is. He's like, now you're only in big trouble.
Yeah.
How much longer can he do that? How much longer can Lamar mask?
Excuse me.
You can't mask your MVPs with losses like that, or your losses with your MVPs, Lamar.
Yeah.
So you need to make something happen.
Yeah. Mahomes is still at the top of the mountain because, Kansas City's trying to go to 3 straight Super Bowls, and Mahomes is looking for his 4th championship, I believe. So I get it, but Josh Allen and Lamar both need a championship at this point. I would say more so Lamar needs a championship because you are a 2-time Super Bowl or league MVP, I should say. You have gotten your team to the number 1 seed in your conference twice and haven't been able to reach the Super Bowl. 1 year when you were the number 1 seed, you lost in the divisional round against Derrick Henry and the Titans. And then last year, you just forgot how to run the ball. At some point, Lamar, you need to cash in your chips and win a Super Bowl.
Here's for Josh Allen's side. I agree with you, but my Josh Allen, I feel like Josh Allen needs it a tiny more. Why? Because he lost. What do we name? 2020 he lost, 2021 he lost, 2022 he lost, 2023 he lost, 2024. So many losses in that. So many L's. So to me, this is where you show people I'm here to play. I'm done losing. The Bills are done losing. We're done. We're done. For Lamar, yeah, you lost to King Henry, but to me, they haven't even been good enough to make it to the Super Bowl, even in the regular season. In my opinion, my humble opinion that some people don't like, but they have this year. They're good enough to go there. The last couple of years haven't been good enough. Their defense wasn't good enough, but now their defense is solid. Their offense is solid. But to me, Josh Allen needs it just a tiny bit more.
Oh, I totally get it. But the thing is, like, I feel like Lamar Jackson. Okay, so Patrick Mahomes is a solid 1. If you want to put Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen in the 2 tier, I guess you can do that. Me personally, I would have Lamar Jackson as 2A and Josh Allen as 2B. Maybe Josh Allen can convince me otherwise if he wins this game this weekend. Maybe. I don't want to, say for sure that'll happen. But, that's why that's why I'm saying it's a tad bit more critical for Lamar. But I'm not going to dismiss what you're saying about Josh Allen by any extent. You should have beaten Mahomes in the 2021 AFC divisional round. I think it was the 13-second game. I think that was 2021. That might have been, I don't remember exactly.
21. I'm 89% sure it was 21.
Okay. No, because 2020 was the year the Browns faced the Chiefs in the divisional round.
Oh, yeah. We got screwed there, too? Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. But according to the NFL channel, that game, the 13-second game was in January of 2022. So you're right, it was the 2021 playoffs. But so yeah, I would say Josh Allen has more playoff failure. So I agree with you in that regard. But because Lamar is a 2-time MVP, he's gotten the number 1 seed twice, I'd say there's a little more pressure on him for this game.
I agree. I can agree with that. It really goes both ways, whatever way you want to lean it. There's valid arguments for both sides of those.
Oh, arguments. Sure. Like I said, I'm not dismissing what you're saying about Josh Allen at all. I agree with you, but that's kind of why, like I said, I'm kind of comparing Josh Allen to Drew Brees because, for all the talent Drew Brees had, he only won and got to 1 Super Bowl, whereas Josh Allen, at least to this point, has gotten to none. So, what does that say?
Well, I'll tell you what, Josh, we're going to sit down. We're both going to sit down and we're going to stay glued to our televisions regardless of who needs us to do what around the house or anything. Nobody text me. Nobody call me. I got football to watch because you can bet your bottom dollar I will be glued to that TV set.